Speaking has basically two areas, which are interpersonal speaking and public speaking. More common is interpersonal speaking because we communicate mostly one-to-one, and in order to do that effectively, you need to learn people and read people correctly. Manners matter most in interpersonal speaking, and you should speak in a manner that the person in front should not be offended in any way. Public speaking is another area which you can improve by just observing some good speakers. Time has shown that some people are always good public speakers while others cannot be very good public speakers. Non-verbal communication is also an integral part of expressing yourself. Non-verbal communication is also an integral part of communication, and in fact in some cases, it can be more important than verbal communication. Situations can come where words will not let you to explain things properly, and in those situations, non-verbal communication comes into play. There are different parts of non-verbal communication like artifacts, haptic, chronemics and other similar things. Artifacts are the most important things, which include your clothing, dressing style, jewelry and other accessories which become part of your personality. According to most of the experts, your wardrobe is the most important object in haptic, and it can always send the impact of your real personality. People can be often judged from their clothing style. Similarly, you can get an idea of the feelings from haptic as well. The way you touch something or someone can send a right or wrong impression, which means you should be very careful while touching and expressing your feelings, because it may happen that you have a positive intention but your touching depicts a negative gesture. Chapter 2: Importance of Effective Communication. Synopsis: there is a phrase from British propaganda in World War II that states, "A careless talk costs lives." This may sound little overdramatic, but the fact is, if you are unable to convey your message properly or you are unable to express your message properly, then, in both of these situations, you are going to bear the loss. Now, this loss can be of life, of property, of money or any other type. Ineffective and improper communication will bring out different problems in our personal as well as social lives. To make communication more and more effective, you need to learn that there should be a harmony of thoughts between the sender and receiver. Why it matters if sender is conveying the message with a different mind frame while receiver is sitting in a different mind frame, then communication failure will occur, and the outcome of this communication will not be very useful. Attitude improvement is another way to make your communication more effective and more concrete, because a positive attitude can make your whole process of communication positive, while a negative gesture can send a wrong signal in your communication and people will start to take it negatively. Communication skills have a very deep importance in any business environment, and effective or ineffective communication can make organizations progressive or declined respectively. You can never say that communication has become ideal in some organization just because some of the language glitches are fixed. Instead, communication is a thing which always needs your attention and constant maintenance and improvement. While communicating at interpersonal level, you should make sure that the meaning of your discussion is properly understood by the listener. Chapter 2: Importance of Effective Communication. Synopsis: there is a phrase from British propaganda in World War II that states, "A careless talk costs lives." This may sound little overdramatic, but the fact is, if you are unable to convey your message properly or you are unable to express your message properly, then, in both of these situations, you are going to bear the loss. Now, this loss can be of life, of property, of money or any other type. Ineffective and improper communication will bring out different problems in our personal as well as social lives. To make communication more and more effective, you need to learn that there should be a harmony of thoughts between the sender and receiver. Why it matters if sender is conveying the message with a different mind frame while receiver is sitting in a different mind frame, then communication failure will occur, and the outcome of this communication will not be very useful. Attitude improvement is another way to make your communication more effective and more concrete, because a positive attitude can make your whole process of communication positive, while a negative gesture can send a wrong signal in your communication and people will start to take it negatively. Communication skills have a very deep importance in any business environment, and effective or ineffective communication can make organizations progressive or declined respectively. You can never say that communication has become ideal in some organization just because some of the language glitches are fixed. Instead, communication is a thing which always needs your attention and constant maintenance and improvement. While communicating at interpersonal level, you should make sure that the meaning of your discussion is properly understood by the listener. Just saying "do you know what I mean" in the end will not be sufficient. Damage of ineffective communication. You can always make a map that which damages and advantages you can get from ineffective and effective communication. This will not take that long to know that ineffective communication can give you lots of losses in terms of your work, time, productivity, progress and other similar things. If you have miscommunicated with your boss over a certain report, then you will have to do that report from scratch and it will cost you both time and work, and in most of the cases ineffective communication will cause you embarrassment. The best approach is to identify miscommunication as soon as possible, because sooner you identify, sooner you can fix it. Ineffective communication will also cause you lots of extra stress and tension, because when you miss some work due to ineffective communication, then your boss will be angry with you, and it may happen that some of your colleague also gets disturbed with that effort. So it can disturb the whole working environment for you. In order to avoid all of the above problems, you must communicate effectively, and if you are having problems in effective communication, then you must keep reading, and in coming chapters 1 I'm going to tell you the exact ways of improving your communication. Chapter 3:7 CS of Effective Communication Synopsis 1. Completeness will bring the desired response. 2. Conciseness will save time. 3. Consideration means understanding of human nature. 4. Concreteness reinforces confidence. 5. Clarity can make things more comprehensive. 6. Courtesy makes relations stronger. 7. Correctness will avoid all the confusion. Be effective. There are 7 important points which can make your ordinary communication a very effective communication. In this chapter, I will describe and illustrate all of these 7 Cs of communication. Completeness will bring the desired response. Completeness means that whatever you communicate should be complete and there should be no missing facts in your speech. It is often seen that people assume some facts to be known by the audience or listeners. This is not the right approach, because if you started to assume this, then you will not be able to give the whole details of the core objective. The whole idea will become confused and you will be facing troubles in making others understand. You should provide very detailed information to your listeners, and in fact you should try to provide some additional information to make your points clearer. While preparing your presentation or report, you should make sure that you are answering all possible questions which your topic can have. In this way, audience will be more understanding about your topic and they will ask you more logical questions. Chapter 3:7 CS of Effective Communication Synopsis 1. Completeness will bring the desired response. 2. Conciseness will save time. 3. Consideration means understanding of human nature. 4. Concreteness reinforces confidence. 5. Clarity can make things more comprehensive. 6. Courtesy makes relations stronger. 7. Correctness will avoid all the confusion. Be effective. There are 7 important points which can make your ordinary communication a very effective communication. In this chapter, I will describe and illustrate all of these 7 Cs of communication. Completeness will bring the desired response. Completeness means that whatever you communicate should be complete and there should be no missing facts in your speech. It is often seen that people assume some facts to be known by the audience or listeners. This is not the right approach, because if you started to assume this, then you will not be able to give the whole details of the core objective. The whole idea will become confused and you will be facing troubles in making others understand. You should provide very detailed information to your listeners, and in fact you should try to provide some additional information to make your points clearer. While preparing your presentation or report, you should make sure that you are answering all possible questions which your topic can have. In this way, audience will be more understanding about your topic and they will ask you more logical questions. You should only include very relevant facts about your topic and avoid using unnecessary information to be added. For example, if you are making a presentation for the annual budget of your organization, then you should keep things to the point and avoid giving irrelevant examples for cutting down the budget or increasing it. Your aim is to present report of your annual budget, and this does not mean that you should add suggestions, because that is associated to someone else. If you try to overexpress yourself, then it may happen that you will confuse your audience with wordy expressions and there will be lots of discussion, which people will never understand due to broken language. So make your information concise and save time for yourself as well as for your audience. Consideration means understanding of human nature. Consideration is one of the most important things in effective communication because it will make sure that you understand the receiver in a better way. When you say consider, then, this means you have to think twice about certain things and make sure that you are always conveying your message in a positive tone. Even if there are some negative points in your discussion, then, you should try to overcome those by emphasizing on positive points. In proper and effective consideration, it is important to understand that the more you explain benefits, more interesting your discussion will become. So you should try to explain each and every benefit of your discussion, which will make people more attentive and they will be more interested in integrating those benefits in their lives. Try to focus more on you instead of I or we. This also sends a very pleasant impression that you actually care more about others instead of yourself. There is a saying that thinks before you speak, and this saying completes the part of consideration. You should properly analyze everything before presenting it to others. Analyze everything from receiver's point of view because that will allow you to think about those questions which are often neglected by following just one approach. You should never use negative expressions like I hate, instead replace them with I prefer. Similarly, there are so many replacements which you can make and avoid all the negativity from your discussion. If you have to say confident, then you can say unstoppable. Fortunate can be replaced with blessed because these words also have a positive meaning, but the replacement are even greater. Concreteness reinforces confidence. Concreteness means that you should be very specific and accurate about the facts and figures which you represent in your discussion. The fact should be very clear, and being accurate is even more important because people often give value of words and especially figures which you represent. Verb choice should also be very vivid and defined, and wording should be such that it should create a very positive image of your overall topic. If you start to sound little vague, obscure and general about the facts, then things will start to get confusing and people will start to think negatively. Emphasis on one thing will be lost, and as a result the effectiveness of communication will not be present. If you are presenting some solid and true facts and figures, then it will automatically boost your confidence. You should try to gather figures from different surveys, and internet can be a very good place to do this research. No matter what kind of topic you have, but you will find things related to that topic and in all formats. You can give people's opinion about your topic and then see how your audience responds. But you should remember one thing, that all the facts and figures should be specific and related to your core topic, and they should not be irrelevant. Clarity can make things more comprehensive. Clarity is often mistaken by people and they think that making the fact more clear is clarity, but clarity is more about making your speech and exact message better. You need to choose your words more precisely and use simpler language to convey your message. Simpler your language will be, easier it will be for the audience to decode your message easily, and they will get hold of your idea very clearly. Best way to bring clarity is to use simpler words and make simple and easy to understand paragraphs. Do not try to be too formal with the choice of words and try to remain casual in approach. If you try to be too formal in your approach and use too heavy language, then it is a known fact that not everyone can understand a heavy and complex language. Especially these days, people are really weak in their language, and formal language has been reserved only for news and newspaper columns. Normal people understand just normal and simple language, and it is best way to convey your message in its exact and raw form. As it is mentioned in the heading that clarity makes your message more comprehensive, and this is true because if you use fewer words, then it will be easier for the receiver to receive and decode the message, and he will get precise meaning of message very easily. On the other hand, if you made the whole message confused by adding unnecessary and heavy words in it, then, ultimately, you will be able to convey half of the message while the other half will be lost in those heavy words. So make your message as clear as possible and try to use fewer and simpler words in it so that everyone can understand it. Courtesy makes relations stronger. Courtesy means that you should some respect to the receiver. Especially when it comes to business communication, then. Your message should start with a respectful word and should end on a respectful clause as well. This is just a way of giving value to the feeling of the receiver. Your choice of words can depict the courtesy, and you should be very thoughtful in choosing words. Always think about the caliber of the audience, and if you are giving presentations to your boss, then it adds even more responsibility. Always use non-discriminatory expressions because these expressions will convince the other person that you always value their thoughts. If you are being appreciative, thoughtful, and respectful and using polite words and gestures, then the receiver will feel good about your discussion and will start to take interest in your discussion even more. You can take a simple example that if some mail comes to you which is starting from simple hi, hello, then you will not value it a lot, but if same email comes with saying hi, our respectful and valued customer, then you will definitely try to look into it. These are some things which show professionalism of people. Correctness will avoid all the confusion. To be correct, you should be aware, and awareness means that you should target right audience. You should know the social, educational and religious background of the reader or audience, and then use your language according to that background. If you start to address labor in the same way as you address a CEO, then things will start to get confusing for that person. This does not mean that you should not respect labors as you give to CEO, but this means there should be a different level of respect for both of these persons, and you should follow certain protocols, use right language, avoid punctuation errors, use precise and accurate information. All of these features will make your communication more correct and more effective. If you start to make your language ambiguous and improper, or you have too many punctuation and grammar mistakes, then people will not value your message, and in the end, it will be added as ineffective communication. But you can change this very easily by adding some true facts and figures and keeping your grammar simple and correct. Now these are all the 7 Cs of communication, and if you can learn to control all 7 of them, then you will have a very effective communication method. In short, you can say that if your message is concise, complete, considered, correct, clear, courteous and concrete, then it is said to be an effective message. Chapter 4: Improving Interpersonal Communication Skills. Synopsis 1. Adopting to change easily. 2. Timing is crucial. Get better. We are living in a very high-tech world these days, and everything and everyone thinks and acts very professionally. If you are really into making your career in a set of booming organizations, then you must have some strong interpersonal communication skills. Some people have this born talent that they are very effective communicators and speakers, but others struggle to convey their message effectively even when they are more competent and educated. These skills can help you to achieve the greatest success in your life because you can mesmerize people with your thoughts and choice of words. Tongue and mind are 2 of the greatest weapons which can be used to make your own way very clear and straight. You can convince people even for the dumbest things if you have some strong interpersonal communication skills. There are different techniques which you can learn, and these techniques can make your communication skills stand out. In this chapter, I am going to tell you some secrets about these communication skills which you can now learn and capture the world. Adopting to change easily. If you work in an organization, then there are changes occurring in that organizational culture every now and then. These changes can be advancement in technology, different sort of people coming in to join, different strategies being implemented to increase the performance, but no matter what type of change your organization is bringing in, if you can adopt that change freely and easily, then this will boost your interpersonal skills a lot. These days, most of the times, technological advancements happen in organizations which you can adopt very easily with just a very little research. If you are the one to adopt that change quickly and effectively, then your stature will rise in the eyes of other co-workers and they will start to give you more respect. Timing is crucial. As I have mentioned in an above chapter, that time which is lost due to ineffective communication is very crucial because most of the modern organizations run on very tight deadlines, and if you cannot fit in that tight deadlines and busy schedule, then you will face lots of difficulties, but with improved interpersonal skills and proper time management, you can get rid of this problem. If you are able to communicate effectively and you complete everything in first attempt, then it will not only improve your interpersonal skills, but it will also increase your hype in organization. There is a saying that good communicators are made, not born. If that is true, then no matter how bad communicator you have been in the past, but you should never lose hope and give your best effort to improve your communication skills. There is no way that anyone can hold you back from your target, and these communication skills are also not very difficult to grasp. All you need is a bit of courage and motivation to learn them. Chapter 5, Becoming a Great Communicator from a Good Communicator. Synopsis 1. Commit yourself to improve. 2. Training is important. 3. Development should be monitored. Learn. You will have many employees in your office whom you see and you think that they must have always been like this. Well, this is not true for all of them, because communication needs certain set of rules and every good communicator has to follow them. It may happen that people whom you see may have got these principles so effectively integrated that they do not even think about them anymore, but they just act on those principles. But at some point time in the past, they must have gone through same phase from which you are going through. So you need to take courage and select a path. There are so many things which you can do to enhance your communication, and in this discussion, I am going to illustrate some of them. An interpersonal communication skill, as it is evident from these words that are very personal, but all of such skills are purely learned. There are so many concrete things which can integrate some very effective interpersonal communication skills in your personality. You just need to make yourself ready and be ready to take this challenge to improve yourself as a whole. Commit yourself to improve. Like all other skill learning processes, you should commit yourself to learn these skills and make sure that there is nothing in your mind which can distract you from your plan. If you can make such a concrete commitment, then you can always improve your interpersonal skills to make progress in your field. You must keep your eyes on the overall progress and advantage which this skill will give you, and this will keep you going on same path of improvement. Training is important. There are different training programs for improving your interpersonal skills. You can be a part of these programs, either join some of online programs or try to attend regular classes of such courses. People often think that these courses are just a way of making money, and if you also think that these are just money-making tactics, then you should look for some free courses. There are numerous free courses available, and you can roll in these courses to try your luck and improve your interpersonal skills. They will not charge you anything, but will give you some of the very important and necessary training. Development should be monitored. If you have been trying to improve your interpersonal communication skills, then you must also monitor your development. In order to make your skills better and enhanced, you should try to compare yourself and calculate the difference. People's opinion is the best way to go about, because they will give you a realistic view of your communication skills. Chapter 6, Properties of Interpersonal Communication. Synopsis 1. Interpersonal communication is inescapable. 2. Interpersonal communication is irreversible. 3. Interpersonal communication is contextual. What you have to do. Interpersonal communication is inescapable. Communication is present even when you deny communication. To say that you do not want to communicate, you have to make a gesture, and that gesture is part of communication. Silence is another way of communicating, and it depends upon cultures. If you take a long pause before answering a question, it may be though as a sober gesture in some cultures, while in other they may take it as a dumb gesture. This means that communication is not always done with the help of words. Instead, sometimes your body language can tell others lots of things. For example, when you come home late and your mother catches you, then, even if she does not say anything, but you know from her facial expressions that she means something, and that is grounded. Interpersonal communication is irreversible. Once you speak words, then you cannot bring them back, and this property makes all kinds of communication irreversible. That's why that saying of think before you speak is popular, because once you speak, then you will do the damage or take the advantage, and you cannot reverse that advantage or damage afterwards. To avoid any harmful action by your communication, you need to make sure that you are using most positive set of words and sentences, because it is another saying that states, message will be heard in its most negative sense, if there is any. This clearly says that you should avoid the use of negative words and expressions in your communication to make it more effective and more positive. Interpersonal communication is contextual. Contextual communication means that you can never communicate in isolation, and you always need some kind of link with you to explain your communication to. It can be one of your friends, a social meeting, an organizational meeting, your life partner, or anyone else, but you got to have someone who should read and respond to your communication. This makes it even more interesting, because when some other party is always involved, then this means you have to think more about his point of view and communicate accordingly. If you started to communicate in your own way, then you may understand a meaning, but you may convey a different meaning. From all of these properties, one thing is evident, that you need to be very precise about your communication, and if you added anything wrong in your communication, then it will ruin the whole purpose of communication and you will face some kind of loss.